Hello friends of YouTube. I saw y'all talking smack in the comment section about old Slick Rick here, and you know what all I'm going to say is you guys are like, oh, does John think he's smart, this and that? No, I don't. I'm just trying to get it to run on 8 cylinders. So if you guys don't like it, you can come kiss my ass. Why don't you guys go and try to get your 481X to fire on all 8 cylinders? Oh, wait! I'm sorry. Y'all are too busy commenting in the comment section. I'm doing like the cat meme arms right now. Y'all got me this worked up. Honestly, I really don't care. I just like talking. Before we go any further, we're going to talk about, we got our Storm Rodeo coming up. The first link in the description below is going to be to the Facebook event page. If you're interested in working storms for me and are local, please say you're attending that. It also has my email. If you guys are not local but still want to do the storm work, you guys can email me, either myself or David. We'll get up with you and we'll get everything all squared away and get you out in the field. It's mostly on-the-job training. It pays very well. It's not a full-time gig, but it is a side gig that if there's a lot of storms can pay what a full-time salary could. A lot of guys use it as the race car fund. Some guys do it as a full-time job. I mean, if the work's there and it provides it, it could easily be a full-time salary. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, check it out. First link in the description below. We are talking about the Glizzard today. Very excited about the Glizzard. We are going to be taking this thing down to Cameron Johnson Race Cars on the 16th. We're dropping it off. They're actually doing an open house at CJ Race Cars. So if you guys are in Florida and want to check it out, we'll be there dropping this hunk of junk off. Cameron's going to go through and just fix everything that needs to be fixed to get it 100% done and good to go. There are a number of things that we need to get done and good to go on it, which will be nice once it is all done. Where do we even start on this thing? Do you want to do like a front to back of what Cameron's going to do, or do you want to talk just about like the blower drive setup stuff that we got going on? You tell me.
I mean, what all he's going to do.
Okay, let's do what all he's going to do. So, first off, when we bring it down to him, it's going to have like the blower mocked up with the pulley stuff mocked up on there.
Did they get that plate finished?
TKM Performance, we'll talk about that tomorrow. They are working on a plate. I use TKM for a number of reasons. They make the most badass, most reliable, most fastest motors, as you guys know. Set the hydraulic roller world record with the Black Sheep. They do everything from small block Fords, LS, small block Chevy, big block 481X Hemis, you name it, they do it all. They also, I don't know if they like advertise, they have the capabilities to do endless things. They make billet front covers. They make some like billet plugs for LS motors. They make cam pickup. They make all this badass stuff. They have many CNCs. They got really badass engineers, and I went up to them with a slight issue where I got this blower with a injector adapter plate up top because you have to have pre-blower fueling, and then a carbon hat, and none of it lined up. I was like, hey, can you guys make me an adapter plate? They 3D scan it in. They're going to CNC it, and boom, we'll be good to go. So we're going to pick that up from TKM here and get everything all mocked up and get ready to go down to Cameron Johnson Race Cars. So when we send the car down to Cameron Johnson, it's going to look pretty much like this, except with the blower and the front accessory drive on it. The front accessory drive is pretty much, I'll probably, if I have time, get the oil pump set up so we have everything configured. Very simple on this deal. No alternator, no water pump, race car, just like everything else. It does have one additional belt, but that's for the supercharger, but that's just like a big ass belt, pretty straightforward. So Cameron's got to do a bunch of stuff. We'll start from the front to back. I guess we'll start from the outside in. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
So the outside, he's going to mount the front end, mount the hood, mount the doors, and like get everything where it's like nice fit and finish. This car is going to go to PRI next year, so it needs to be PRI worthy. This was our first car we brought to PRI. Huge hit. I'd say we have our work cut out for us. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Probably got our work cut out for us. Want this thing to be a showstopper. A lot of polish on there from DCF. What we can polish, we will get polish from Joe and the guys at Dieter's Custom Finishing. Nasty Wraps is going to be doing a wrap, a whole vehicle wrap on this, which I think is going to look great. So mounting the carbon front end, carbon hood, carbon doors. We got a nice deck lid on there. He's going to make a custom wing for it and redo the parachute mounts. That's, for starters, just the exterior stuff. He's going to go and address our front K-member spacing because that is not right. I'm sure on that side you can see it's just got like a wedge in there, and then the steering rack is not properly installed. It doesn't have bushings in there. It's pressed up against the oil pan. So that all needs to be addressed. He's going to set the ride height on it, which is like slammed on the ground. Looking good, obviously. It's a stock suspension Mustang. It's a 25.5 chassis right now. And probably going to have to redo and move around some things in the trunk. It's got an 8.8 in it right now. We're going to leave the 8.8 in anticipation of eventually upgrading to a 9-inch. But right now, the 8.8 is going to do the job. But I would potentially like to have like the trunk cut out, new anti-roll bar put in there. Cameron and I went over a list of things, kind of ballparking, but as you guys know, when you tear into these, add this, add that, some stuff needs to be added. I want it to be very nice, very reliable, also extremely functional. We got the exterior done. The trunk stuff, pretty simple. You know, pop the trunk off. Well, not a lot of guys see it, but nice, smooth trunk. It's got the catch can back there, and then the anti-roll bar will handle all that stuff. Fuel tank, redo this front bar, redo the steering stuff with the K-member and everything like that. Trim up some things that need to be trimmed up. Just really get like that fit and finish. The last 10-15% of the build really make or break the build. We spent so much time on Slick Rick going over that last 10 or 15%, and it's crazy because a lot of people won't notice it. When you're looking at the car, you're not going to notice the things that take so long. But if it were left like this to go to PRI, right, and not cut this out, everyone would notice this. So I guess the name of the game is making it where it looks like it's supposed to be there, not like it's not supposed to be there. So that's what Cameron Johnson's going to do. And I'm excited to be working with him. I've worked with him a bunch before, talked about his products. He makes some of the most badass products. So as we go in here, we got 2 seats. He is going to redo a couple things, redo where the brake pedal goes, put a throttle in there, tab it out with the harnesses. We're going to have harnesses for both driver and passenger. And there's some stuff on the floor that's got to be redone to just really make it look good. Needs to be tinned up in some areas, trimmed in some areas. There's some spots that are just kind of like got an ugly patch in them where I really don't want an ugly patch in them. I don't know if you guys can see over there, like it's just got like this bolted thing in there. Don't really want that. The goal is when it comes back from CJ Race Cars that we are going to wire it, plumb it, fire it up, stick a drive shaft in it, and race it.
That'll be nice.
That would be nice. So that's our game plan there. I had like a laundry list of things that we were going to do down there, but I guess when you look in it and go over it, I've been like putting a note in my phone of everything that we need to do. I mean, really the biggest thing is we get the ride height correct, we get the front end on, we get that new bar made, get a fuel tank made up there, then it'll really start coming together. And wiring on this stuff, we're going to actually be using what I call as the DEVIN harness. So Devin over at HCR Innovations makes a harness that is way better than a HOLLEY harness. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just the next level up. In a build like this, it's very fitting. So when we go down to cameras, I'll probably bring it with us and we'll talk about it. It's extremely nice, very plug and play, customizable to whatever you're doing. We're going to be running a set of smart coils, and then we're going to be running 2 sets of injectors. And the harness, the quality of the harness, it's in very nice loom. It's made longer. It's got a bunch of benefits for it. So check out Devin at HR Innovations because he's on board with this build as well. And he'll be rocking all the HOLLEY EFI stuff. I have an MSD 600. I have a race pack smart wire for it. I have a bunch of stuff. I don't know what all I'm going to put in here, but we're going to swap the transmission out for, I guess it's for passenger safety and ease of mind. This is the stock case 400 case that I went 420s with in the Black Sheep with a stock bell housing. So I put an upgraded JW bell housing on there. We're going to take this out and use it in another build. And then I got aftermarket Reed case SFI, which is a safer case that I'll put in here. I like running the exposed transmissions. The whole point of this build, if we're going to do a ride along, is to give someone the experience. So maybe a little bit of fear is part of that experience. But I don't want you to have to like worry. I guess like in the back of your mind, I guess you might always worry a little bit, but I don't want like, I want to be safe. Not saying that this isn't safe, but I'm going to make sure that it is safe. So that's what we got. So what we're working on today is our Alky Diggers blower front drive contraption. So this thing here is pretty wild. I got a double key weight crank. So as you guys can see, looking through there, it's got the 2 keys. Can you see those 2 little marks in there?
Yep.
So that is, it's impressive that this whole thing rides on that, because that's going to be a whole lot of load, especially spinning like a big ass blower like that. But this is the contraption that you need to run this. So we aren't running like an actual true balancer. You got a, I'm just using this for mock-up, but this is your timing right here. We're going to get one that's going to have a 12 minus 1. And that's how we're going to do our crank pickup. And then you got your big ass pulley here. And how this works is you obviously this is taking place with the balancer, so this goes on there. Crank bolt. Then this is your centerpiece. I don't know what it's called, like a spud or something. I don't know. All these blower guys have different terms. This goes on there, and this rides inside of your blower support, which bolts on like that, which has a bearing. And the name of the game is just to take the load off of the crankshaft.
Yeah.
This isn't a splined crank. So when you get into real badass blower stuff, the crankshaft will be splined. It'll look like that. I mean, it's got like crazy splines. That is like when you get into some like real badass stuff like that. This is not necessarily not badass, but as far as like, we're not going to make 4,000 horsepower with it. In a light Fox body, this thing goes out there, makes 1700, especially with this blower on there. It's going to be hauling ass. So we're going to tackle installing this. I say tackle installing this because there's some things, just like everything else, where it doesn't quite fit right. You're in the race car stuff, and I'm completely fine with that. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to disassemble all this, make sure everything's fitting right. We're going to install the balancer on there, which I think is going to need a 1/4 inch spacer because we're on a 1/4 inch mid plate. This is meant to bolt onto the motor. Obviously, if you space it out a 1/4 inch, you need to space this out a 1/4 inch, but I don't know if this is going to mess with the blower space in here. So I'm going to try to install it without the 1/4 inch spacer because this area here is much larger. So if it just sticks out a 1/4 inch more but still rides in the bearing perfect, we're good. I'm not going to worry about it then. So we're going to get this installed first and test how this fits all together. And then once we get all that on there, we are going to have to do some precision machining over here. This piece bolts to the engine block, which then you have to drill holes in the motor plate, and then it sits like that. And that is the support on the passenger side. The support on the driver's side obviously has 2 bolt holes, and it'll bolt up like that. So as you can see, it's got to be pressed on, but it's going to be one hell of a contraption. And I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm like, damn, if you ever throw or break a belt, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get this thing on and off. I guess the best way would just be take your front support off and leave the mounts on the motor plate, but yeah, the goal is once you put it on there, you don't have to mess with the belt as far as down here too much, and hopefully the crank lives, the motor lives, the blower lives, the belt lives, and everything just lives happily for many passes. Am I going too fast? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does it seem like it's a decent strategy?
Yeah.
Am I saying a lot? My goal for 2023 is to not say or so or clap my hands.
We had a counter going for you
in
one
any
day.
videos.
You were on the phone with somebody, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was me and Logan. We had a counter going for how many times you said
I'm a bad dude. I don't know what it is.
It was great.
Well, I guess first order of business will be I need to get a crank bolt. I need an ARP crank bolt. I need to install this. And what do you think the best strategy for... We bolt this up, right? This will line up on the motor plate here. We mark it where the holes have to go, because once these 2 bolts are in, this isn't locked into position. We drill them out where they're big enough, and then I think this front one will bolt on correctly. I'm gonna have to knock down a boss on the block, and the back one's gonna need a spacer. So I think the hardest thing is just gonna be get those holes that line up. But I think we got it. Hopefully, once we put the hub on, we'll never take it off again and everything's right, unless we change the front cover, which then we will just pop it off with like the little 3-claw, the guy from Scary Movie. We'll pull it off like that. That style puller. The other one looks like a chicken foot, or use your imagination. So we'll do that. We'll stick this on there. It should be good. If everything's good and the front cover never has to come off, then all we have to do is swap this wheel out, and then all of this stuff here is interchangeable. Now, as far as getting that off at the track, I guess, I mean, this is not really something good to pry on, but I mean, you just gotta hope that you don't have to take it off quite a bit. Double keyed, so it's only gonna go on one way. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on this, so this will come on and off. I'll try to put some anti-seize on this, so this will come on and off. We don't really need this to stick on there permanently, but as you guys can tell, it is a very tight fit, which is good. Like I said, anything with the balancer, it needs to be trued up, it needs to be hub-centric. Very important that you get the harmonics and no wobble. Can't have any wobble, especially when you're putting a bunch of stress on some stuff. So The Tin Man juice is here. Man, is that a little sus too? To say it like that? Is that... What is going on?
You're just feeling froggy tonight.
What is going on? Like... It just looks like it goes on this way, but it just looks like it is, it wants to go on the other way, if that makes any sense. Got our nice balancer install tool. Big fan of these now that I have one.
I can go get one for you if you want.
That's alright. It's midnight, just so everyone knows what time we're filming this.
And what time are we getting up in the morning?
David's got to be at the airport at
5:30.
5:30 because he has to fly out to pick up a Cadillac CTS, or sorry, Cadillac Escalade V, miles away and drive it back.
That storm pay hitting good.
That seems like it's very far out, doesn't it?
I'll put a transfer tank in the back of it.
Doesn't that seem like it's sitting pretty far out?
It does.
I wonder if they make these in different spacings. So we're not running a balancer, so I guess that'd be enough room to run a balancer if you wanted to run one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Looks weird, doesn't it? Oh, this one might have the 4 magnets in it. This one does have 4 magnets in it. Now you could pop it off and get your timing set right, because you'll need to know where top dead center is and get your timing pointer and all that stuff figured out. Again, the LS people will have to use their brains and Google to research stuff accordingly. So something that I will say, like this, and this is something that I've learned from the past. So the balancer is on all the way, and this is if you're running a balancer that has like the mandrel in the back, that has the keyway in it. This is double keyed, so it's got a Woodruff key and a normal keyway. The Woodruff key is kind of like a half moon, so that's not going to come out. But if you have a crank that only has the key that slides in, that's like a square that slides all the way in, you need to put a spacer in here to pick up the slack. You can have that, the key with vibrations can back out, and then it'll just fall out in the space between the washer, because your washer on the crank bolt's going to go against the face of this and the crank, so you have a void in there. So if that falls off, then the balancer can spin freely, especially if you're running anything off of it has got any tension on it. So if you're running an oil pump, you're running a fuel pump, you're running an alternator, a water pump, it's going to add a lot more tension to this. So you really need to make sure, you need to put a spacer in there, something to make sure it retains, it holds it so it can't fall out of the crank. Even if you run, this might sound ridiculous, but a keyway that is like way long, right, which looks stupid until you put the balancer on, and then it's just big enough where it can't back all the way out. The Woodruff key, like I said, you don't really have to worry about it. If that comes out, you got some bigger issues. So we got that on. I guess for presentation purposes, we can put, should I just put anti-seize on everything?
And I don't think it could hurt.
That's gonna be such a mess. Oh, that's a good idea there. I like that. These are the things that people don't show when they're building these cars. You go and like order a kit. Yeah, that is substantial.
Yeah, it is.
There's no way it goes the other way though. There's no way. Regardless, the amount of real estate that is would stick our little spud out way too far.
That almost seems like how much is sticking out is if you flipped it around. But
so what I'm saying is if you were to flip it around, this would stick out way too far then.
Gotcha.
You smooth, Brandon?
No, someone was when they were designing this.
Smooth Brandon
Yeah, I'd blame
entered
the
the
people that
chat.
designed it.
Well, it's a kit and it doesn't work.
What's wrong with it?
Well, as you can see, it'd work great if...
Oh, there's definitely, yeah, it wouldn't go the other way. I guess they just expect you to run a smaller pulley, because that pulley's the one that came off the Pro Mod. So
I think this is incorrect. Because if you look at the distance of here, that is just, this whole thing would be out past it. So it'd sit just like that. Mm-hmm. So where the bearing would ride is completely through. I think we have a simple mistake here. I think that the parts that we got don't all go together. This piece right here is incorrect. If we get the correct piece that pushes everything back, I don't know however much that distance is, everything would sit back further, you'd have more clearance. Because this is just dead space. I think you can order these in different lengths.
Why don't we measure what we need and you take that with you to TK&M tomorrow?
Have them cut it down.
Because I don't know if cutting this down is necessarily the right thing, where I could just be like, hey, this doesn't fit. Is this the right part? And then they'll be like, oh, sorry, wrong part. And then they'll send me the correct one. What is that, a 1/2 inch?
Get the calipers.
A 1/2 inch.
That's definitely like an inch.
An inch?
Inch and a quarter.
You guys know how I measure things. Oof.
Inch and a quarter, maybe. But you need to think, so what I think needs to happen, you need to get your blower on and see where the pulley lays on the blower.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my question is because it came with the whole kit, so I wonder if it's pushing everything out or if I just need longer legs on this.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm betting that you just need longer legs on this.
But it really is going to matter
Because
where the blower pulley's
The
sitting.
belt, I mean, you can't run the belt up here.
So it came with the whole
I
kit.
highly doubt that the blower belt is way up here. I mean, that's a good sized blower. I mean, it's going to be out here.
So this sets the blower back further. This, the hub, this, and the little spud thing with the spacer all comes as a kit,
Yeah.
which sets your blower spacing. So if that's the case, either the hub is incorrect or the stands are incorrect.
Yeah. So where we need to start is get the blower back on and see where we're at.
Yeah.
And then make this fit to the blower. I think that's your simplest solution.
I think hopefully. All right,
So-
hear me out. I think the easiest
But
fix.
You did
Oh
it.
no! Oh no! Am I a tin man?
Hey, bud.
You got Tin Man juice on your face.
Not tin man juice. Oh my god! Damn.
And now you got it all over your pants and everything, wiping it.
I gotta stop
Just
touching
don't- yeah,
everything.
just
All right.
keep your hands out.
I don't know what to do with my hands. I think
Whatever you do, don't touch the white cord.
what would be ideal is I personally rather have this pulley as far back as I can because it's less load on the front of the crank, even though it's got the blower support. The tighter you can keep everything, the better it would be.
Yeah, that's less leverage that the blower is going to have on the crankshaft. However, so for simplicity's sake, I still think that you put the blower on, you check it,
I wonder if this plate and that hub are correct.
and then, I mean, where does your pulley mount for your fuel pump?
Off the front of this.
It goes off the front of that.
Yeah.
Still, so.
I mean,
Keyed, or
the
how does that work? Yeah, it's keyed.
It's keyed, so yeah, you just put a mandrel on
Yep.
it, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So
My
I mean,
Mason
Damn, the
said
fuel
that
pump's gonna be hanging way out here.
where the blower sits is, I mean, because you can't really move that.
no, yeah, I mean this plate does move it, so wherever it sits, you have to align it
Yeah,
to
exactly.
that, which is just kind of, it is what it is at that point. But I think that we all think the blower was a great idea, but this is why turbos are better.
Seriously.
No, I mean, this is-
You just stick it on there and make everything
We should
fit.
just stay with the Pro Charger so we can break it every weekend and just keep a spare to keep swapping them back and
yeah,
forth.
that's
sending them
oh,
back.
the Pro Charger's cool, but the wow factor of having a roots blower
I agree.
on this, I mean, the crank hates it. I could tell you that.
Mm.
All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, subscribe. We're gonna be releasing the winner, I'd say, within the next 7 days for the Lot Lizard. So keep an ear out for that. Or if you have a phone, maybe just look at it every day and see if you get a phone call, text message, email. Last time the legal team beat me to it. Not this time. I'm gonna be the first one to contact you guys. So thank you guys for watching. Comment, subscribe. First dab of 2023.